Yeah.
Yep.
It's difficult because you can't
cancel
even
culture.
you can't say like, oh, I don't have an opinion, because if you
can't.
don't have an opinion on it, then that is your opinion, that's your position. So it's like you need to be like, my lawyer says I can't say about anything.
That's exactly
like-
what you got to say. Yeah, and
Like,
and
offload it on someone else.
Like,
At
they
that
should've-
level,
they should have
you
told them that.
represent your company, basically, or whatever you're working at. If you're a director of a company, your company is you, and you are your company. There's no way around it.
There's no way around it. Yeah,
It's a bit like us with our personal brands. I mean, earlier on when I was watching Curtis's video, I was like, did he just swear? I've never heard him swear before.
No.
And then I listened to it back and I went, nope, my mind put that there.
Yeah.
And that's part of a personal brand. And I've often, if I'm playing a game, I will F and blind sometimes. But if I'm streaming, I hold it in because, that's not, well, I don't usually F and blind anyway, but I don't want to. That's not what I do in public. It's not how I usually act. Right? It can be difficult if you're playing a persona and say I did want to start up a gaming channel or something along those lines, and I wanted to be really hyper or aggressive or something else. It would be like, well, who are you? Which one of these people is the real me?
I know.
Yeah. There are definitely times when I've read comments or even messages on my Discord server and thought, oh god, there's something I really, really want to say, but I just can't do it because it's just not professional.
I know.
You just say it to other people. That's what I do.
I do.
Offload it to someone you can trust.
Yeah, I'm like, look at this. This is stupid.
And that's like the only thing I see about these alt-right personalities. I just feel like they could say whatever they want, and their audience loves it. So they're in no danger of losing their audience because their audience are people just like them. It's great.
It escalates it as well.
But I don't want that audience.
If you're empowered to say that, then you go one step.
Exactly. It's
there's nothing worse than an echo chamber.
I know. It really
that
is.
we're now sat in, by the way. The irony.
I know.
Yep, I just stay neutral on the channel. Someone tried to bring up politics by asking about my political views, and I was like, I literally, one, I won't discuss it. Two, if you have a reason to vote for someone and, your reasons align with your viewpoints, then go vote for them. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly.
That's called democracy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Because someone's going to attack me if I say any sort of political viewpoint, even though I'm pretty much dead in the center. People will equate it. Oh, I support this side or this side, so I don't care for the drama.
You just can't.
I got caught out with that about 4 years ago, when I posted a meme personally, and it got reposted. It wasn't a tweet; it was just something on Facebook, and then obviously I got a load of flack from it, and I was like, "Hang on a minute, yes, I'm in a position where I'm teaching lots of people." Okay, yeah, and I just took it down. I was like, this could blow up at some point, and then I'm firefighting something that's got nothing to do with what I'm doing day to day.
I take the view with it. If somebody, if I follow a musician or someone who's being very political, it doesn't make me think less of their music. It's just their life experiences have led them to believe in that party or that politician, and that's fine. That's a perfectly valid life experience that's led to that. So I don't really steer clear of it, but I definitely would, on Discord, if somebody's going really one-sided against something, even if I'm on that side, I'm still going to be oh, actually we should probably balance this out. Let's just, because other people have the other opinion, so you've got to
go over the hash politics.
Be equanimous.
Yeah, we have a no politics rule on my server.
Yeah. I just send them to Reddit, to the political sections of Reddit. I say, here, go talk there.
Have fun.
Go down that rabbit hole.
Oh, it's just going to be toxicity.
Yep, that's what I say.
If you're on Reddit, oh man.
Yep, I'm like, if you want to talk politics, go there. You'll become one of them. It will happen.
Something weird happened.
Not on my channel.
On my Reddit app, I don't know what changed, whether or not they fixed it or not. But if you're looking on the app, there's the home, and then there's a popular section, right? So it's home is recommended to you from what you follow, and popular is what's just popular in the world. And I went on the popular, and one day, instead of being global stuff, it was just stuff from the UK. which wasn't what I usually had. But so suddenly you're being thrown all these communities from the UK, and a lot of them are really super political ones. So you're suddenly looking at all these super political things going, what happened to my Reddit feed? I don't understand what's going on. But then I realized that you could override it by going to a setting somewhere and then forcing it to be global. But I was like, oh, damn. Yeah, there really is a lot of it on Reddit. You just don't see all of it all the time.
I tend to those sorts of places. I will have like r/blender, and that will be a bookmark. I don't go to the homepage of something. I go to that particular bookmark and go there. I know that may be a somewhat blinkered approach, but I just don't have the time to deal with everything else. And I'm still trying to learn how Reddit even works.
Well, yeah, the Reddit karma system is very weird. Do you know about this? So when you get upvoted, that's what they call karma, essentially. Like, it generates karma, which is a score for the accounts, but no one really knows how it's calculated. There's like this really complex algorithm behind it. It's not just the number of upvotes you get, it's other factors as well. And someone did figure it out once, and then their comment got deleted by like the moderators or the admin or something. And I think people have figured it out, but maybe it changes. But it's always been like this bit of a mystery. But it's really weird because it kind of decides who gets super popular, and I don't know, it's a bit weird. I don't like it when there's really esoteric algorithms going on.
YouTube.
Yeah, yes. Oh, and we
I
can
always
talk
find it
about
strange
that.
when you like it.
Good.
Oh man, I've been working so hard
on Reddit. If you refresh,
been working so hard recently on a course being released like a couple of days time, and I've just been in this complete blinkered mode doing it, and I realized that I've not even posted anything on YouTube for over 6 weeks.
Wow.
Has it really been that long? But then I'm looking at my analytics, and it's been doing that. I'm like, okay, was the last video I posted really good? Looked at the numbers. No, not really. So why is my watch time just literally doing that? I'm like, well, it's fine by me.
I know.
I'll try and get around to a video later on, but if it's going up, it's going up. It's all good.
Yeah, Olaf posted in the something. He was like asking if, because the subscriber count's not going up too much, but the view time and watch time is going up dramatically.
Yeah.
Like, is YouTube purging bots? I'm like, if they are purging bots, they're not really affecting the Blender community. That's the bots are targeting the political stuff and the propaganda channels, not
I've
us.
noticed that a lot. You know, I've I use vidIQ as a sort of a metric gathering system.
I was using that early on. I liked it.
Yeah, I quite like it. I use it to monitor me basically more than anybody else. But
yeah,
you can add other people on there, and it's amazing. Like Grant's got such a huge following in terms of watch time, but not necessarily. He's got a massive subscriber count as well, but nothing like Blender Guru, who's over 1 million now, I think, isn't he? But,
yeah, 2 million or something.
1.5.
If you actually look at the watch time,
wow,
it's completely disproportionate.
Hmm.
The watch time of Grant's stuff is like 1.5 million, and then you get the watch time of Blender Guru, and it's like just double that, even though the subscriber count is so much bigger. And I know we've mentioned this before, that subscribers is really just a badge now. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not indicative of the watch time, and the watch time is what generates, ad revenue and all the rest of it.
Yeah. This is like, I'm tempted to write an essay about like my thoughts on the YouTube algorithm, because it's just not right, and it's just weird for creators like us, prosumer creators. The YouTube algorithm is, and it makes sense when you say it, it's specifically designed for people just making videos. All right, it's not really designed for people doing other things as well. This is a problem that I've had with it, and that's why I'm starting to care less about it, because I give so much free stuff away. And I link to so many resources for like affiliates and stuff. YouTube hates me because all sessions end at me. Like whenever someone comes whenever people come to download free stuff or like look at external resources, they come to the video, they click on a link, and then they disappear from the platform. So YouTube goes, this is a terrible channel, this is a terrible video, we hate this guy. And I'm like, well, if you could see... Okay, so they're getting an understanding that YouTube gives them good value because they're suddenly getting free stuff and good things. If you could understand that, you'd know that they would be coming back to YouTube very soon. But Google doesn't have that data. All they see from their perspective is session end. That's it. So
they see a session end, but they also see a new session too. So that's a weird thing, because they'll see a bunch of new sessions coming from outside too, not necessarily from YouTube, because you're not flooding the recommended section, right?
Yeah.
Like like the guys like for right now, like CG is he's throwing up a video every like 2 hours. So like I open up my feed and it's like all CG matter. Like I just see his head and I see like progressively his hair growing out because I see so many different thumbnails, and it's like but he's like winning that, you know, he's got that recommended thing going. So he's not necessarily getting new sessions starting, but he's getting a bunch of like, so YouTube probably loves that because they're keeping people on YouTube, right? But they also like new sessions starting up. So it's like I don't know like I don't know what they weigh more.
So I've been doing
the solution is to have a store on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know,
yes.
That would be brilliant. You know, go check out the store below, and you
Oh
click
my
a thing,
God.
and it expands out. That would be
such a good idea.
Yeah, maybe my business would be like 5 times as big by now if they actually had a store on YouTube. Heck, because then they can have all the data. They can see how many people are downloading, like, and all of that. Damn.
They'll take their 30% cut as well.
Yeah.
No, they'd be very happy.
I'd be all right with that actually, because if YouTube is bringing the audience to it, then that's all right. That would be brilliant.
I mean,
YouTube, please.
They integrate with merch because I've seen merch sales appearing under.
I was going to say that, like T-shirts and stuff.
Yeah,
but I think it links externally, doesn't it? I don't know how it works.
Teespring, they have. Well, I don't know if it's just Teespring, but they share data as well. So if someone makes a sale on Teespring, then the accounts are linked, the 2 different accounts, so that you can see the sales data on your YouTube studio. I've done experimenting because I know what videos don't do well. So like the discussion ones in terms of views, even though they bring a different value. So you can check the analytics, and a lot of those ones, they come from the immediate views come from either subscribers on the subscriptions page or external locations, because I share them on the Discord and like the newsletters and stuff. External sources have very little influence for raising the amount of recommendations from my experience. As far as I can see, YouTube doesn't care that new people come from outside. What they care more about is whether they'll come to that video from inside the platform, whether it's like it's attractive to the viewers that are jumping around YouTube. And I was hoping that external viewers would have more influence, but it doesn't seem to have much.
I think you'd have to be bringing in a ton of new viewers to the platform. I don't know how you would do that, but I suppose if you were a celebrity of some, a big celebrity, and they came all from your site, they mainly watch videos on your site and got pulled in that way, that would probably influence it somewhat. But for us mere mortals, we're nowhere near that.
No, nowhere near that. So I think you're right. Yeah, I think it's keeping people on the platform. So it's those recommended videos.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not. I mean, I publish so infrequently now. I would love to do more videos. I just gotta like feed people, including myself. So like, YouTube's not feeding me right now. So if YouTube wants me to make more videos, they can feed me more.
Yeah.
They don't care because I'm a nobody, but still, like, it would work in their favor because I'd make a lot more content.
Yeah, I wrote a behind the scenes Patreon post yesterday, I think, basically saying what we're talking about here, saying about how I'm probably going to give less free stuff away on YouTube for a while, which is kind of sad because I love giving it away, but if it has that much of an effect, the content gets to fewer people, so it's a bit upsetting. But rather, like, an alternative is just having people need to go through like my website to find stuff. At the end of the day, I can experiment a bit more, because if I lost a YouTube channel, I think I would still be able to make maybe not a full living, but like, a nice amount, because I've already got a foundation going. Thankfully, YouTube isn't the be all and end all of it, but
I know
it is the major audience factor.
YouTube should just be a free traffic source. Honestly, that's what it should be. If you want to make a business out of it, like, it should just be one traffic source of a few that you have. And doing YouTube, like I'm totally guilty of it myself, getting caught up in YouTube for YouTube's sake. Wanting that stupid plaque, like that 100,000 plaque, like, and having your ego kind of tied to, I got 100,000 subscribers or whatever. It's like, in the end of the day, I mean, CG, he's right. Like, it's a vanity metric. That's what it is. Watch time is everything. If you want to, like, I just wonder if there's anyone making like over like $2,000 on just ad revenue in the Blender space at all.
In Blender,
per month,
yeah.
I'm sure
in AdSense,
probably. Especially I'd imagine Guru's up there. He must be. Guru's
probably up there. Although if you look at his stats, he's getting like He gets a lot of views,
Thousands.
but he also has like
Yeah.
2 million. So his subscriber to watch, to views is like decent.
Yeah.
But like there are guys
Yeah.
with smaller channels that just like look at like Daniel. He's not on here today. No, he's not on here today. But he's got like 300,000, 400,000 views on some of these videos. So it's like I don't.
And from what I've done research on, it does depend on the sector you're in. So if you're in the finance sector or something along
Yes.
those lines, your adverts will rake you in far more per 1,000 impressions than than Blender. Or if you're doing Minecraft, you're not going to get anything in these days. You need to be so big.
Oh my God, Stampy used to get like, I mean, he was probably raking in, a couple 100,000 a year.
He was
and
making
then
bank.
He was
My
making
sister
bank.
watched him every day. He was
Yeah,
getting millions of views.
millions.
And then YouTube got told off for targeting kids. So there we go.
Oh
and
yeah.
then it dried up for them completely. Him, Squishy, Stacy, like that whole group.
Yeah.
Just dried up.
Do you mark all your videos as not for kids?
I don't.
They left it
the
very
option is
vague.
like, is it made for children?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of us are making content
Yeah, that's why I
for
say no,
children.
because it's really
Is it
not.
meant for children? Yeah, I do opt out of that.
It's-
None of this is for youngsters,
The
basically.
first video, the first video I ever uploaded, which is unlisted right now, I clicked the made for kids, and then I realized that's not what it is actually.
Mm.
It's not.
And
When
From
the
then
option
onwards,
first came in,
Yeah.
it was too vague, and then they
It's so
had
vague.
they had to come and clarify it. They did like some extra blog posts and stuff saying,
Yeah.
well, no, like it only really qualifies if it's like a cartoon, like it's actually made
Yeah.
for.
Targeted at kids.
Yeah.
I thought initially when
Yeah.
it came out, they literally meant, are you swearing? Do you have grotesque stuff in here? Is it suitable for children?
That's what-
rather than
yeah.
is it targeted at
Yeah,
children?
made for kids, like
yeah.
something.
I think that's
Yeah, and now
that's
they
what
just-
most people thought. They're like,
Now they just want you to self-assess and be honest.
yeah, exactly. Because
Right.
like we make Blender content and kids can watch it if they want. So if
They can.
if it was like, is it suitable for kids? And we'd be ticking yeah if we weren't swearing. Like, but that's not what it is. So yeah.
We went out today, and on the car journey, my partner and I were talking about this, that it would be really useful, potentially, if there was some sort of other grading system, even if it's self-assessment, that you could target things and say, look, this is not safe for work. I'm going to F and blind throughout it, as alluding to earlier. Or, I'm going to be sculpting a nude. So this is not suitable for, you could self-certify an age rating for it. And I know
Yeah.
that YouTube, they only care if you're 13 or not, or Google in general only care about that. And that's a shame, because then we could be much more targeted and help others filter content that's appropriate. Because the last thing, of course, you want to do at work is, in your lunch break, turn it up and find effing this and all coming out, or perhaps something even worse that could get you fired. And of course, your workmate looking over your shoulder and there's a nude model there. Well, that's also probably going to get you kicked out of work.
Oh, that reminds me of something. Me and Erin were having a conversation a while back about like Dad's studio models and ArtStation. Remember that? And like,
Oh man,
some of these accounts you scroll through, and because on my phone app I don't have the like the maturity settings changed, so it's all safe, and you're scrolling through and it's all just blurred images, and I'm like, oh my god, wow, that's crazy.
and we wonder why there aren't that many women in the community yet, right? Like in the 3D space.
Yeah, the conversation about sexualization in ArtStation is something that I'm afraid to talk about on
I know,
the
I
channel.
don't talk
Royal
about that either.
Skies, that's a YouTuber I absolutely loved watching, and his jiggly physics is what he called it, I think, on one of his rig.
Yeah,
I'm like, the animation
Jiggle
there's top
physics.
notch.
He's on the server.
Yeah.
He's here.
Is he? Let me double check.
Yeah, he is.
I keep forgetting
He
how
is.
many people we have on the server.
I know.
Yeah, 59, 60.
He rarely ever posts anything. I don't even know if he like gets notifications from Discord, but he's on there.
Oh yeah,
I
19
laughed
to
so hard at
17.
that video.
I was laughing. I was
Just
laughing.
remember
I was like, if I was watching this in a public space, I'd be a little bit embarrassed.
Oh, I know.
yeah.
Going
I was
on.
like, I wouldn't make that video, but I was laughing. I just thought it was the way he approached it was funny to me, but I could see how others wouldn't think it was so funny.
So were you gonna say Sharon?
He also made a blog post saying that this is the most watched video of my channel.
Yeah,
It's around like 300k views or something.
that one we're talking
The
about.
jiggle physics, yeah.
Oh yeah, it is.
Is he- Is he also the one with
It's
the
huge.
interesting thumbnails?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I suppose if you consider YouTube as a business and views being your currency, you know, your turnover as such, then doing things that bring in views makes a lot of sense, regardless of what your personal feelings are.
Yeah, it depends
Towards
what you want to do. Like, what are you aiming for? Are you aiming for the views? And okay, fair game.
Yeah.
Okay.
We all know that sex sells. You know, you just have to look at a car commercial. Yep, everybody's attractive in there. They don't come with the car. I'm afraid to tell you that.
Yep.
Yeah, I do get quite excited, and as I was going to say, I don't know who we have watching this, but I do get quite happy when I see people doing LGBT artwork, because you just simply on the grounds that hardly anyone does it.
Yep.
And just for the sake of like saturating the artwork pool, because you see so much of the same stuff over and over and over again. When I finally see it, I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
it's something
diverse,
that's
and it's
finally
something-
interesting because it's different.
Yes.
Just like another perspective in the space, isn't it?
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
I was really happy when Simon Stalenhag did one, because you know how like incredibly popular his work is, and it's amazing and it's unique as well. And he did one piece as well. There's like two guys like making out or something by this robot structure, and you're like, fair game, well done, very cool.
Yeah. Just throw it out there. It does bring diversity, and it brings. You know, I mean, it's not. The landscape was so homogenous for so long, and you're just seeing the same thing over and over again: guns and girls, guns and girls, guns and girls.
Yeah.
It was like all
Donuts,
right.
and donuts, and donuts, and guns and guns.
Yeah, donuts. Yeah, throw in the donuts. Yes, the donuts too.
You think like it's artwork, it's an art space. You wanna see like all the corners of humanity, really, don't you? You don't want to see just the same thing over and over and over again.
But the people who are it's made for like the people it's so the people it's aimed at are predominantly consuming it as males, I suppose. But then like the actual people who are making it, there's a huge group of like trans people and queer people who are like working and living in these spaces in like game studios and things. So it's like it's really important to be able to push content out like that, because there's like the people who are making it, even if it's not necessarily them consuming it.
I would love to see, because I see people who get into character modeling all the time not understand the anatomy of the human body, and I get it. Certain parts of especially the female anatomy, people want to accentuate. I'm like, that's not a great look. That's not realistic. Have you been Yes.
Yeah, I got one of these. It's a good collector's piece.
And just getting proportions and things like that right, and things that are just not possible. I mean, you can't see the front and back of someone at the same time. Make your mind up. They've now got a broken spine.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Or they're one of those people that could twist
or not.
Contortionist.
Yeah.
But it does bring a lot. When you see some of the more professional sculptors actually doing things right and in the right proportions, the models just look so much better.
Yeah, it's like, because there's so much historical artwork as well, like all these marble sculptures, like David and all that as well. And you're like, holy cow. Like when you actually see something that's kind of realistic, like a lot of thought has gone into that. That's remarkable. When I'm looking through ArtStation and places, again, not to kind of like shame people for what they want to make, but if I see something that's tasteful, like even if it's a nude piece, but something that's done, the lighting is right, it's even just like a small area, there's a lot of attention to detail, you're like, okay, that's remarkable, that's really cool, I'm going to spend a while looking at that. When I see something that's like intentionally just off proportion just for obvious reasons, I'm like, I don't care. Like there's thousands of this. Like I'm not going to say not much thought has been put into it, but it doesn't feel like it's as tasteful, I guess is the word. It's
like we were saying, it's the lack of diversity. You end up with it just being the same thing. It doesn't matter ultimately what the style is, whether it's in an anime style or another particular style. It's still the same thing, essentially.
Yeah. Guns and girls.
Yeah.
Yep.
Guns and girls, but there's like a donut hanging on the end of the gun.
They're standing on a pile of donuts or eating a donut at the same time they're holding a gun.
I like looking at all these like old ancient Greek sculptures as well, like all these marble ones. Not even just Greek, but you see people like recreating different fabric textures out of marble and granite and stuff, and you're like, that's an amount of skill that's just gone beyond like what we're seeing nowadays.
You make one mistake on marble, you're like, oh,
Because second, you can't add that same material back, like at least not in like a smooth way. Like you
can't hold down Alt or whatever it is and smooth it. Shift and smooth.
Exactly. Your entire process of creating the art is subtractive. You start from a big block and you work down, and you've got to be so careful with what you take away.
Because you can't put anything back.
Yeah. Because like if we want to, if we're sculpting, we're so lucky because we can just like thicken out an area that we think slightly off proportion. Like say the leg muscle is like just a bit too flat. We can go, okay, easy. They can't do that. You've got to know right from the beginning.
Talking about Rome and stuff, like not Rome, Greek and Rome. Your video game photography.
Oh yeah,
was kind of something.
Yeah, I shared that I have an addiction to taking screenshots in video games. So I put them all up on my website, and I put a link to it on Twitter. And Assassin's Creed Odyssey is such a beautiful game, so there's lots of images on there.
I like
I've been doing that with Star Citizen. Just the game's so buggy, it's unplayable. Like I cannot stress that enough. But I'm just running through it and just print screen everywhere.
Yeah,
the artwork great for sci-fi inspiration.
Yeah,
they've got a massive art budget.
Yes, they do. Oh my god. There's never been a game with that big a budget, I think.
They put too much, but they didn't put any like coding efforts into it.
Yeah.
Like I had to look up how to get out of bed when I first spawned in.
Yes. When you first spawn into New Babbage and you have to find your way to get to your ship. Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Okay, Cloud Imperium and Star Citizen, that's just one massive case study, that whole project. Because there are so many things that have, I don't want to say gone wrong, because it might be a bit insulting to the people working on it, but feature creep is a word that's definitely applicable here. Promising too many things and having too many things to make, and having to make sure that all these things work together, and a lot of the times they don't really, like... You know what we said last time, there are no solutions, only compromises, and I think they've headed head first into that concept.
It's a beautiful looking game though. I would give it that.
It
definitely
is.
Oh yeah,
just an art project really.
The stuff I've seen from it is just man.
Yeah, I'm really into my space stuff, and it really varies depending on what there is. So Kerbal Space Program, for instance, is like really cartoony, and you still get some beautiful shots with a couple of mods on it. And then you go for places like EVE Online, where you've got 500 or however many people in a huge epic space battle, and you've got a screenshot of it, and you're like, and I know I don't have the time for that at all. But it's amazing the artwork that can be generated through gameplay itself.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think it's clever, companies that put photo modes in the games, like Ubisoft with these Assassin's Creeds, because they can't be bothered to hire someone to go and take pictures of all the pretty places. All those photos belong to them, that people take in the games. So what they're doing is they're just hiring free labor from the people playing the games to give them good promotional imagery. Pretty much.
Genius.
I mean, when you're playing the game, when I was watching it in the stream, every single frame was amazing, like literally. You can stop at any point and look at any angle, and it looks beautiful.
I know, it's
so good.
It's inhibiting my gameplay. It's like, in a way, it's negative. I can't stop at like a beautiful vista and not take a picture of it. So like my gameplay goes and then like keeps stopping and breaking up.
Which game were you doing that with?
Okay, well, all of the recent Assassin's Creeds, Origins, Odyssey, and now Valhalla, because they spend so much time making them beautiful, but also Watch Dogs Legion as well, because they put photo mode in that in their sort of futuristic London. So I'm like on top of Piccadilly Circus taking pictures down with like the big advertisement lighting, put your character in the right place so he looks small, so you're kind of coming down from above. And
can you tilt shift in them? Is it like a full featured
you can do depth of field, and you can sort of angle the camera. They got like, you can change the exposure. If you're lucky, on some games you can change the time of day as well, and like the camera angle. You can do that in No Man's Sky. That's pretty good. So
I remember playing lots with the photo mode in The Last of Us. That was a lot of fun, and pausing just at the right moment. You just got some brilliant action shots out of it. One of my other favorite things is zombies. I don't know why, just like them. And I was a couple of years ago, I was playing Dying Light, and I'm really looking forward to the next one coming out. And the game wasn't spoiled by lovely vistas. It was spoiled by, I've got zombies chasing after me, and I want to see how many times this texture is repeated in this game.
Oh man,
yeah.
I was at that stage with learning about game development and everything else. I wanted to know, right, this is actually a AAA game where you've got maybe hundreds of artists working on it. And I just took apart one building, essentially. I was walking around, and it's amazing how many times things are repeated.
Yeah.
But you just don't notice it when it's played. If you pause there, you can just start circling all these repeated elements all over the place. And all it takes is like a bit of ivy covering up half of one, and suddenly the whole building looks like it's a unique piece.
Definitely true.
Like, wow.
It's when you get far away from stuff that you really notice the tiling. Like just anything in Dark Souls 2 is just tiled to hell. You just like, as soon as you're a long way away from a wall, which you frequently are, it's just like, I don't know, it's like 2-foot square tiles.
Yeah, the only game which looks really good with tiling is Minecraft.
Yeah. It's because you expect it right from the start. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's got an
This looks like
excuse.
crap. Oh, looks like crap, but it's fun.
I like looking for I like looking for UV
I'm gonna
seams.
spend hours on this.
Whenever
UV seams, yeah,
we like looking for the seams, because when you're looking at like applying for jobs and like all the skill sets required, especially if you're doing the texturing, they're always like, you must understand how to like map objects properly. And then you look at some of these objects in games and you're going, they just didn't care. Like as soon as time crunch becomes a thing, they're like, oh, sod it. No
UV project. Let's get it out into something,
like,
or whatever.
There is not a player in the world that's going to have a look at how straight the seams are going to be along this log. Like, use your intuition.
Yeah.
They start cutting corners at crunch time, just getting the thing out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you want a job, you can just say, okay, I can fix the seam in every single model that I make.
Yeah.
They'll hire you.
You just have art directors and creative directors that are just like, no, that'll work. Okay, it's signed off. Go.
Yeah.
By the way, Jacob, how have you been?
Hey, I'm doing good. Just enjoying the discussion. Yeah, soaking it in. No, it's the element of time is interesting, because I've also heard this in like visual effects. I think these videos that come up where people are criticizing visual effects artists, and then the artists come back and they're like, hey, you don't understand the studio conditions when we're under the gun. We're like literally up to the trailer release and we have to finish shots. So
the general public just doesn't get it. Even in the comments, like the people that are like, one of the people was just in our server was a comment like, oh, you use, I think it was like to renderize or something, like you use other, you're using stuff that's not yours. Why don't you just create the whole thing? It's like, dude, you don't get it.
Yeah. But it's like, what do you want me to?
You'll never get it.
Do you want me to make Blender from scratch now as well? Like, how? Where's the bottom line to?
Where's the bottom? Yeah, you're gonna code. Are you gonna code your own engine? Are you gonna code your own your own DCC? Like
your own operating system, and then build your own PC.
Do you want to invent the universe?
No, it's a piece of cake.
Yeah, anybody who's ever worked on a team, creating art, creating a show, creating anything, like an animation, will get that right away. Like, you use what you can to get the thing done. Have it look good, and that's fine. If you have to buy, we buy models all the time. We buy models all the time because it's cheaper than having us model it. Our hourly rate is higher than like buying a model.
I've seen it a hell of a lot. The main thing is that if we were to do that, our YouTube videos would come out maybe once every 6 weeks or so. I don't know. But it would take ages to put stuff together. And even in competitions, if you're entering it, the one main rule is the key focus of whatever you're rendering, whatever piece you're doing, has to be yours.
Yeah.
That's usually a unanimous rule across absolutely everything. But when it comes to all the background stuff, or you have to have made it within the actual time frame. But if you've got like rock assets and things like that, yeah, sure, just chuck them in. It's a rock. It adds to the scene, but it's not the subject of the scene. It's not
exactly.
Yeah. On our server, when we run our challenges, we say the artwork, so the entire art piece, needs to be created new for the challenge. The majority, the main focus of the artwork needs to be created new, but you're allowed to use pre-existing things to like enhance the scene, just so long as it's not the main focus. As you say, like if they just brought in a bunch of rock assets and the rock assets were the main focus, I'm like, that's not really contributing to the challenge. So, but just use your intuition. Like, you can make use of pre-made things, just use it to enhance the new thing that you're making.
I think some people forget what they're trying to achieve as well with a piece. Like, someone might be working on composition and lighting, but they'll never actually get to that stage because they've spent however long to model the things because they don't feel comfortable downloading other people's. It's like those asset libraries are there to be used. Like people put up their work for you to download them. So
I mean, that is a great example. If you're animating, go and grab a humanoid that's already rigged, a mech that's already rigged, whatever, and go practice your animation. Don't have to model the thing first. And the same's true with, as you say, lighting. Go and grab models, put them in the scene, and if you're practicing lighting, that's the skill that you're showing off.
Yep. When we started, there was nothing. There were no libraries. There was nothing. So we had to build everything ourselves, and it was annoying as hell because like I couldn't get to lighting because I had to model. I couldn't get to animating because I had to model. So I had to model something that I could animate. And until I animated, I had to get through rigging. So like I had to get good at modeling, then I had to get decent at rigging, then I could get to animating, and then only then I can get to like lighting and texturing. And I was just back in like the mid 90s, we were forced to be generalists on like everything because these assets didn't exist. But nowadays, like if you want to focus on animating, grab a rig, and just and start animating. Don't worry about building the character unless you want to be a generalist. Like
that's pretty much how I've ended up being a generalist because I've had to go through each one of these steps in the past. So
exactly.
Something that I've never really touched on, like the whole Nodevember thing, is not something that would have ever been done in the past, and it's only in the last couple of years that computers are powerful enough to do all this complex calculations, and it is still magic to me. I'm starting to understand more and more, but I love the feeling of looking at these things and going, wow. And a lot of me, it doesn't even care how it was put together, how it was made. I'm just like, that is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it's really cool stuff.
Videos.
What's
that? Go watch. Erin has videos to good tutorials.
I've seen those. Erin has, and CG's been doing them. You've been doing them.
Yeah.
And they're really helpful. It's incredible.
I'm totally watching behind the scenes as well. I think it's just amazing how from taking it like a step back and just looking at it from a beginner's point of view, that is absolutely amazing. And I think Erin, I caught up on the thing last week. You were saying about how in industry it may not be such a valuable skill. It's a good skill to have because you can put it into your procedural generation and loads of other things can be built upon that knowledge. But like you were saying, was it last week you were saying that if you're going to spend 8 hours modeling something or doing something that could be modeled in a quarter or less of the time,
get out the door.
It's pretty. Now get on with the rest of it.
Yeah. Then Curtis was also like so mean about it, but it's okay.
I put Erin's thing at the end of my video today, as you.
Oh, nice.
So I basically, because my video was about feeling insecure when looking at other people's artwork, and just quickly explain to people why it's a stupid thing to feel, because there are so many people talking about that now with Nodevember going on, especially Markham. Hi Markham, if he's watching. But yeah, so I said in the video, as the example with the vector displacement stuff, it's easy to get caught up in the FOMO element, the fear of missing out, when you're seeing all these amazing things being made and you feel like you'll be left behind because you don't understand it. I said, you got to be realistic. The vector displacement is freaking useless. Like, what are you going to use it for? Like, in a production workflow, like for your animations and that? What are you going to do being able to make these little shapes in a little shape out of nodes? Yeah. But, of course, there's a disclaimer for that. It's excellent for motion graphics and stuff if you really wanted to use it for that. But so I put Erin's little section from the last episode at the end of the video there. So yeah.
Apologies, I didn't get that far. As soon as I hear a video finishing off, I'm like, next.
you.
It's useful too if you want to like go into shader writing.
Yeah, shader writing. That's what I was about to say.
And
although
like
for video games,
stuff,
your shaders have to like refresh at an insane rate. I mean, like nanoseconds. So like your code has to be so optimized that it's like I think I was having this conversation with a guy I work with. He's like, he's been in this industry for like 35 years, and he's like if you want to do that stuff, that's great, but you like 90% of your work is going to be optimization on making sure that thing refreshes in that game every tenth of a nanosecond or something. He's like, But that said, like, you know, there are guys, you know, that feature animation and stuff that are doing amazing stuff with shaders.
Yeah.
So shader writing in itself is it's a really useful skill. Vector displacement is a part of shader writing that can be useful for certain things, like if you want a procedural forest and you just want to do it with a shader and enough subdivided geometry, fine, you know, and then optimize it. Or if you're going into a procedural thing like Houdini, I think some of the skill set from vector displacement can translate pretty well. But the mindset of doing it that way is relevant as we go more into proceduralism. So with geometry nodes coming, I saw CG Matter did a video. I think put it up yesterday or 2 days ago or something. It was about geometry nodes. It was a quick video, but I was looking at it. I'm like, this is really awesome. Like, it's totally going in the direction of where Houdini is. I mean, it's still like years away from being where Houdini is now, but it's going in that direction. So that skill set is going to help. All that stuff you guys are doing with the vector displacement stuff and the Nodevember stuff will help. It wires your brain to think procedurally, and that's important if you want to go in that direction.
Approaching 3D as like systems that generate a thing, that's like totally different to how so many people come at it being like, I want this shape and I'm going to do it by extruding this piece over. And it's like, that's not really the system that builds that thing. Like if you can get into the way of thinking of like, this is part from over here because it faces in this direction or something like that. And it's like that way of thinking is like the same way as you think in Houdini or Grasshopper or Sverchok or your geometry nodes. So it's really
leaving the vector displacement aside, in the Nodevember we also have pattern generation and also like you don't have to do vector displacement all the time, but there's also like so many other things like just cool looking stuff. Like you can put it like on an artwork or something in any game or something. And also there is ray matching, which is quite used a lot in games nowadays. Like ray matching is really popular in Unity shaders. And though Blender can't handle it, but shaders are very optimized. I mean, like the code is very optimized. You can run a human being completely made of ray matching, like with 6 frames per second or something. So within the code, I mean, in the code, like it doesn't happen with nodes, but and also like the people who are really doing well with Blender shaders, if they like try to shift to Substance Designer, Substance Alchemist or something, they'll ace it. I mean, honestly, they can just get in within few days, they'll understand the whole system and they can start making amazing materials. That's what I think so, because I do follow some Substance tutorials to see how things work and then try to recreate it in Blender. And back then I was not that efficient also, and also I was not actually understanding what's happening behind the screens. But now I think I do a little bit. I'm almost able to convert it, not exact one-on-one match, because I don't really have so many like procedural scratches. Like, you know, they're all rastered images. They're not vectors, right? Like Blender. So all the presets which they have are like 4K or 8K textures, which they downscale it depending upon the size they choose in the very beginning. So obviously the presets are like photoscanned and then extracted textures. So we can't make them procedurally, right? Like scratches, we have very limited. We can only use few nodes to make the most variety of scratches. But so if you know how to blend things together, and I'm sure Substance will be more easier for people who are doing really good with nodes in Blender right now.
And also
they should
Unity
actually check that out as well, you know.
Unity and Unreal both have shader graphs.
They're so good.
Unity's is still relatively new. Unity has had a really good community backing for shader graphs. There's a whole host of different tools available that do the same thing essentially, but they ended up getting their arse in action and actually doing one that's inbuilt, which is really good.
I think one of the great things to come from all of this is if you start going down that path, it gives you another tool to play with. It gives you a better understanding. And I know, you know, Blender for life, but actually there are other tools out there. And if you've got a better understanding, a more holistic understanding of the whole, not necessarily pipeline, but what tools are good for doing what type of operation, then you know, for instance, that you're going to have a pain in the backside trying to do fluid simulations in Blender versus doing them in Houdini, or smoke and fire in Ember Engine or whatever it's called. So there are tools out there that are much better, not necessarily better actually, maybe faster, more efficient at getting to the end results than it would be in Blender. Some of them are paid, some of them are free, and just having an extra tool on your belt really helps understand those differences.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of that for Nodevember, instead of like trying to chase after the vector displacement stuff, where I mean, I understand it, but I'm like, dude, I don't have time to like do these incredible, honestly, I don't even think I'm as good as like half of the people doing it right now that are doing this stuff. It's just amazing. So I'm not, but I was like, all right, well, Houdini's nodes. Let's try that. So I've been trying to blend Houdini with Blender, and I've been actually pretty successful at taking scenes in Houdini and bringing them into Blender and rendering them, shading them, lighting them, and rendering them in Blender, and just taking like SOP level displacement stuff and iterative, Alembic files and things, and bringing them in and actually like making it work. And I'm like, wow. So like, and I'm trying to see where the data limit in Blender is, because Houdini can handle massive vertex counts and point counts, and I'm starting to hit the limit on Blender as I'm bringing in these files, and I'm like, yep, that's where Blender fails right there. And so I'm figuring out, I'm like, all right, as long as I keep the point count under a certain amount, it's beautiful. After that, if I want to render faster, I'm gonna have to pick up Redshift. Blender's an awesome addition to like other software. It's so good to have. And knowing Blender just like helps in so many ways.
I think we'll be getting some improvements to the overall like vertex count performance in Blender, especially since we're getting high poly sculpting performance improvements. You'd think that things would go hand in hand a bit. With just a general object mode as well. But we'll see. Because Blender is falling behind a little bit there. It would be nice to have hyper complex scenes running silky smooth.
Yeah, when I open some softwares, automatically my GPU starts spinning so fast. Then I realize like maybe they're using GPU for everything to make it fast and work efficiently. But Blender is not like that, right? It's only for rendering. I think even baking is using CPU, right?
Yeah, baking.
I think baking is CPU.
I think it depends on the setting you have.
I mean, baking animations and also simulations and stuff.
Yeah,
that's CPU. Yeah, that's the problem. Whereas like Houdini simulations are completely GPU based, I guess. Like that's what Devanshu mentioned. He was teaching me Houdini recently, and it was actually successful. I was able to pull off some things.
Awesome.
But I stopped because I thought I can do like both in Houdini as well as Blender at the same time. So that just like to see where it goes, but no, I don't have time. College and school stuff.
It comes down to time. If some people or some of you guys are blessed with nothing but time right now, use it. Like, put out as much as you can, do what you can. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Oh man.
Oh no, like I
talking about so much time when I was young. Younger.
How much time?
You raise a good point there about the CPU versus GPU stuff, because Blender's one of those programs that doesn't feature any difference between a Quadro card and an RTX or GTX card. There was fundamentally no difference if you're just using Blender in the viewport, for instance. But if you use some other CAD software, there could be an absolutely massive difference with using the professional cards. And unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation that goes around, and it does just depend on what you're actually using that graphics card for. In Blender, it's not going to make any difference to your simulations. It's not going to make any difference to your viewport speed. There is a speed up from generation to generation, but not as big a jump as I'd hate to get this wrong, but maybe AutoCAD or maybe even Maya or 3ds Max. They may actually use the professional cards in a slightly different way. I've not played with Maya since like 2012, so no.
I played with it recently. I have it on my work machine, and it still feels like they just kludged everything together ever since Autodesk bought them. It's like it's been a hack job. Like it's what they were doing with Max. Like 3D Studio Max, they were just like buying plugins that people wrote and just like saying, "Oh, here's our new feature," and it's just like a plugin that's been available forever. They just bought it and then stuck it on. like a Lego. It's like a giant like Lego mess. That's what Maya felt like to me. I was like, what happened to you?
So like when you install 3ds Max or Maya, and it's like, why is this like 3 gig? What am I installing? And it's like all these libraries and plugins that come in.
It is. I loved Maya. I used it every day for 10 years straight. I loved it in production, and it's a great piece of software, but it's like it's aged. It's really aged. When you use like even Blender, when I first opened 2.79, that was like the last time I opened it, and I was like, all right, I'm sucked in now, and that's when I started using it. I was like, this is so much more advanced feeling than Maya at the time. I felt like this was the future.
Yeah.
I'm using the future. Yeah, and I was like, it just felt great. And then when 2.8 came around, forget it. That and Houdini are like it. I haven't played with Substance. I assume Substance is phenomenal. We're gonna pick it up at work at some point, and I'm gonna use it. But man, like these next gen apps are amazing, and Blender feels like a next gen app.
Hopefully soon we'll have Arnold render in Blender too.
Arnold is awesome. It is a great. Have you used it? It's so awesome.
No, I've only looked at it for like its improvements over cycles for especially like multi-pass rendering and stuff.
Yep. Yeah, all the AOVs, everything. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's a production proven great renderer. Redshift, Octane. I mean, these renders are awesome. I was using Mental Ray in Maya forever, and I loved Mental Ray, but it aged. It really aged. And then NVIDIA picked them up, and then it died or something. I don't know. But then they went with Arnold, and so I got Arnold for a bit. It was awesome. I cut out a few shots in Arnold. And I was like, this is really nice.
Nice. Yeah.
We're happy. Everything's great. Yeah. So that, and I would love it if Redshift came around too. But the improvements in Eevee are phenomenal. I'm loving Eevee too.
Yeah. When you
and tangent animation actually just there was something on that. I caught it. It was like really quick on that Blender, the VCon. They were talking tangent animation came on, and they did their like 1 minute thing, and I followed it, and they actually have cycles running inside Houdini. They were able to port cycles. Yeah, it's not fully featured yet. It's still relatively beta. Like they don't have a lot of the motion blur and stuff. Yeah, and you still have to build it yourself. So you'd have to go in, into like Visual Studio or something and do a build.
Yeah.
But I saw it working, and I'm like, this is phenomenal. So at some point, if I get time, I want to do a build and check it out because I love cycles too. But yeah, Arnold is really nice.
Oh, but I saw something for like Cinema 4D, like Cycles 4D or something. It's the same nodes.
Oh wow!
And yeah, I just googled about it like recently, and it's called Cycles 4D for Cinema 4D.
Oh wow!
I didn't know about that. I thought like it's the same thing. Like it's shown like it's Blender stuff, and the nodes looks different because it is in Cinema 4D.
I mean, Cycles is just an add-on anyway. Like you can switch it off in the add-ons.
Yeah,
really.
The same for Eevee. Yeah. Both the render engines are just add-ons.
Oh,
so you can disable them.
I did not realize that.
The internal renderer, I thought they just replaced it because Blender internal was just awful.
It was
good old days.
I mean, it had some stuff that was okay, but I'm glad they did away with it.
It made a lot of sense for some of the old workflow techniques that existed back in the day. But you're quite right. It's really archaic. The only thing that I ever recommended it for was your like animation testing.
Yeah.
So many people would be rendering out Cycles animations. I'm like, what are you checking here? I want to make sure it looks okay. Just use the built-in internal render and snap. It's coming out like that.
Yeah. And now you can just do viewport renders, which are really nice. So before I cut anything now, I just do a quick viewport render. It's so fast. I just write it out to an MP4 and just check it out and see, all right, does this camera move? Is this good? Does this suck? What do I have to change? Yeah. Helps so much.
I mean, like, how fast was it, like, compared to Cycles? I mean, Cycles,
it was quicker. Blender internal, because it's a raster engine.
Yeah.
So it
was essentially old Eevee, if you want to call it that. But everything, you had to put everything in. So you could build, the old BMW scene used to look quite sweet in the internal system, but you'd have to say everything. You'd have to turn absolutely everything on and do loads of stuff that was beyond me at the time.
Yeah, it was a pain. There was one guy that used internal perfectly. He hasn't made videos in like 5 years, I don't know if you guys have seen him. He did Minecraft animations. His channel was Flash Code. He has like, I don't know, 500,000 subscribers or something. And all his animations were in internal and they looked amazing. Probably like one of the best people I've seen use those animations. Or internal rather. But nowadays just Eevee.
Like I mean, just the stuff that the Eevee stuff was phenomenal. I mean, really the early stuff that Curtis was doing when you jumped on that Nebula stuff way back, the stuff looked great. I mean, you were like one of the first people jumping into Eevee and showing everyone like this is awesome. I mean, you got me jazzed about it. I was like, dude, stuff Curtis, look at this stuff. And I was like, so I started using it. I'm like, this is really cool.
Yeah, I because I came over from Unity, and I was like, well, I only know how to use raster engines. Because I didn't know how to use cycles properly then. So I was like, look, you can do cool stuff with it. Because when jumping in then, I think it took a bit of convincing to get people used to Eevee. They're like, oh no, it's terrible. I was like, no. Like here, you know, what's that Will Smith meme where he's just like that? Like, no, look what you can do with it. You know? But the funny thing is, over time I've gone more to cycles. Because I love having all the extra data that you can use for materials and the emissive lighting. Oh, that's fantastic. Because even in Unity, whenever you do emissive things, you're always like putting lights down all the way along like the object just to try and get it to look like.
It was a cheat.
Oh, it's just
it was a cheat. Unity was a cheat.
It feels so dirty, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. And with the optics denoiser, it feels more better, right? Cycles.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get past that smeary look with enough samples, and you figure out that sweet spot, it saves a lot of time on rendering.
Yeah, I've been turning it off while playing with material stuff because I've been doing modular metal stuff. And
I saw you post about that. That looks good.
Thank you. When you look super close up on it, the smearing is just too annoying because when you're trying to do like really fine scratches or like imperfections, and it's just like blur. You're like, no.
Yeah.
Get rid of that.
It's better to turn off with like more start pixels.
Yeah.
Like around 1024 or something.
Mm.
That's what I do.
Yep.
Smart.
I mean, I dropped down to like 2.83 recently because my GPU had some issues and I couldn't do more complex stuff with my Nodevember. And I was so freaked out. And then, it was just the Blender version. It wasn't working. And then I dropped down to 2.83, I guess. Yeah, 2.83.8.
All right.
And then it's I still got the GPU issue, but it's not that bad comparatively.
And this is why it's important to stick with the version you've got if you've got a big project going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're bug fixing rather than the new shiny stuff.
Yeah, somebody asked me in one of my recent videos, like, how come you're using like, or it was like 2 videos ago, like, why are you still using 2.83 when 2.9 or whatever? And I'm like, because I'm in the middle of a giant freelance project and I'm not changing. Like, and nothing I'm using is 2.9 centric. So chill.
Does anyone else get like irrationally terrified when they do an update? Because I did an update to my NVIDIA driver 1 or 2 computers ago, and it just black screened. Like it wouldn't turn on properly. It's not like everything was wrong. I can't remember how I fixed it in the end, but I had to roll something back. I had to reinstall something. But I was like, it's just all I did was press a button and you destroyed it. Like what? Why? Don't you test these
When
things?
I was using Linux all the time, I always felt like doing graphics driver updates was such a like Russian roulette.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, Linux. Wow. Linux is a pain. It's so beautiful, but it's such a pain when you want to do stuff like that.
I ran Pop OS for about 18 months, and I was using the Unreal Engine in it, and eventually, as well as Blender and everything else, and the speed benefits and everything else, absolutely amazing. And then it came to the point where I was in the Unreal Engine, and I was trying to do the tessellation, the real-time tessellation that you can do on your models, and I was like, but this isn't working. Went over to my laptop where I prototyped it when I was away from the office. I was like, but it's working on there, and it's not working. So obviously there was something in the NVIDIA driver stack with Linux that wasn't allowing tessellation, or it was part of a DirectX library or something along those lines. I was like, but I want to teach this.
Yeah.
And there were a few things like that where I was just like, you know what, I'm going to have to go back to Windows because I want to teach the stuff that I cannot teach using Linux, which is really, really annoying. I want to go back there again one day, but I'm afraid it won't be anytime soon.
I don't know. I don't know how unpopular this will be, but I will go ahead and say I am a Windows fanboy. I know this like saying you like Nickelback, but look, I know it's cool to like Linux, especially in this free and open source community, but I use Windows every single day. Like,
I use it too.
Why would I use it if I hated it? It's just
at work we have Linux, and I use it. But
yeah, like I use it because it's fantastic for my work and for my games and for everything else. So of course I like it. I enjoy using it. Yeah,
it's easy.
It's just
like I don't want to type in code to go to a document.
Yeah, it's just not cool to say you like Windows. I do. Why else would I be using it?
Yeah, I mean we use it at work, and I mean everything is command line. I'm going through the shell to just open up programs, do everything, run batches, all this stuff. But it's like it's more comfortable to just sit in Windows where everything's just there for you, and you just click and click and click and click instead of like typing. So I don't know.
And
I like Linux. Linux is great.
It has gotten so much cleaner now. I mean, they had some iffy moments, especially with Vista, and then after that, they were trying to get creative with all the tiles. Remember the tiles?
Yeah.
I was like,
Windows 8.
Maybe don't do that, but Windows 10 is pretty good. I mean,
Windows 10 got it well. Yeah. Very basic and clean, gets the job done.
Yeah,
I've had to do so many like registry tweaks on Windows 10 because I'm like a really incessant tweaker, and that was great in Linux because I would just tweak it, and then after a few days I would break it, and then I would have the joy of going through building it again from command line, and this was all just part of the fun. But now obviously doing jobs and things, it's like, well, I can't have my OS need rebuilding every couple of weeks. So,
no, you can't. You just have to get the frames out. Yeah, you have to get the client work done. It's having something reliable like Windows 10 is pretty solid. I mean, Linux can be solid too, but Windows 10 is pretty solid. It reminds me of Windows 95. Windows 95 was probably the best Windows, like usability wise and stability wise. It lasted for years.
Had the best theme as well, the best visual theme.
Yeah, it was so bare bones and like just so.
I could call it the Millennium Falcon theme. You know, like it wasn't particularly sleek, but it was.
No, it wasn't sleek.
It was before I born, so after I born, it was Windows XP time.
Oh yeah.
Oh, XP. Yeah, you probably went through the Windows ME also. Which Windows ME was a total disaster. That was the worst thing I think ever.
Was that the Millennium one? The
2000. It was horrible.
Oh yeah, I know about that one.
I had it on my machine for like a week, and I'm like, this sucks. I like uninstalled it, went back.
Oh, actually, I just
Windows 98 was actually pretty good too.
I just remembered something. When Erin, you mentioned having to do so many registry tweaks. I'm the only one I know that's had this. But have you had an issue with Python? Have you even tried? Like, have you installed Python on your computer separately?
Yeah.
I
have
the environmental settings.
Yeah. So on mine, and for the people I've spoken to, they haven't had this, so I didn't know why it happened to me, but I installed Python manually, and I set up the environment variable, and then I go to use it, and then it opens up the Windows store. I'm like, wait, what? I called Python from the command line, why have you opened the Windows store? And it says install Python here. I'm like, I've just installed Python, I've set up the variable, I'm using the variable, pointing to the installation I've done, why have you opened the Windows store? And because they've built in a thing where if you put in that environment variable, it says, okay, open the Windows store and then download Python through here. I'm like, why? So you have to go in and manually change that. So then yours works. Yeah, I'm like, so that happened with me on 2 installations, this one and the previous one, but apparently it doesn't happen to everyone. So I don't know whether it's like a region thing. I have no idea, but it is
mine
weird.
seems okay. I just tested it.
Yeah, I still use 3.65. It's the most stable version. But yeah, I mean, it's not really necessary, but still, it's still Python. All the functions are still here. So yeah, it's fine. I mean, the programming language didn't change, so doesn't matter which version I'm using.
Just running bleeding edge stuff. I've recently seen DaVinci Resolve 17's coming out. I'm like, oh, but I'm in the middle.
I know, I saw that.
And I'm like,
not yet.
Stuff showing off. I'm like, there's actual effects you can apply to the track, like chroma key, so I don't have to go into the color tab and tweak all this stuff. That sounds like an awesome thing. But I'm in the middle of a project, and I'm about to finish off a project and jump straight into another one. I'm like, no, I can't afford the downtime. Even if it's just the weekend gone playing with it, I just can't at the moment.
I know.
That's exactly what happened with Substance. I really wanted to download Substance for a long time, but then I know I'm not gonna use it anytime soon.
Yeah.
No.
I
In a
know.
year? No. So then what's the point of downloading it and
Yeah.
just wasting 1 year of student license?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll just keep it for a while.
Same. That's why I got rid of my substance license, because I'd sat down and thought, well, I'm trying to cut down on the monthly cost. Am I genuinely going to use it for a project? No. Maybe for like one prompt every 3 months. That's not worth it.
Yeah, if part of your core business is producing props for people, or just assets, and that's going to help. It's pennies in the grand scheme of things, but if that's not if it's one thing you're doing once a month, no.
Yeah. What's the
Yeah.
point? No. Blender can do it. No.
Yeah. I pay for Houdini Indie. That's my one. I think one software besides, like, I own perpetual licenses on everything. I use Affinity for photo and for design.
Yeah.
And I think those programs are great. And DaVinci Resolve and DaVinci, I can do most of the things that I can do in After Effects in Resolve. So most of what I would need After Effects for, I can do in Resolve now. So I'm like, well, that's cool. So I don't have to pay for Adobe. I'm like, all right, well, what's left? Houdini. That's it. $269 a year.
That's actually really reasonable for Houdini.
Super, super reasonable
compared to true.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically renting it. Like once your license is up, it doesn't work anymore. But so you could buy a perpetual license of Houdini and then just buy the upgrades when you want them. That's available, but it's also like, I don't know, $5,000 or something.
Yeah, 5.5, I think.
Yeah, but you buy it once and that's it. And then you only have to pay that $5,500 once, and then after that you can be on maintenance for like a couple of grand a year. So if you're actually using it, and if you're actually making a ton of money doing 3D, which I don't know if anyone's still doing that, but yeah, you could pay for itself.
I mean, you could learn from the apprentice version, right? It's more than enough, right?
Oh, more than enough. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have it so I can because you can't write out. There's certain things you can't do with Apprentice that I need to have at least Indie for. So I just buy it, and I've been testing a lot of stuff in Blender with it. Yeah, and you can't do that with the Apprentice version. But you can learn. You can learn the entire program. What's that?
Yeah.
The Alembic export is like priceless. That's worth paying the money for.
That's one of the biggest things that's worth it right there, is that Alembic ROP export. But yeah, I mean, just if you want to learn Houdini, you can just use the Apprentice version and learn everything about it. You just can't test it with other stuff. So you can't use third-party renderers, and you're pretty much stuck with Mantra. But I mean, Mantra's great. It's a really nice engine, but it's just slow. Even tweaking the heck out of it, it's still slow compared to other engines. You'll be waiting on those renders to come back. They'll look beautiful, but you'll be waiting.
I suppose with Apprentice as well, you've also got the potential issue that you forget you've got Apprentice and you start doing client work on the stuff, and then you're breaching license agreement.
Yeah, but once you go to render it, it renders with the watermark. So you'll know really quickly that you're not paying for it. You'll be like, "Oops, I better pay for this license now so I could do this project," because you're not going to be able to render anything out without it.
And to be quite honest, if you're using Houdini in client work, you can probably add the 200 odd quid that it costs to the client bill.
You can
push it upstream.
Yes, you can. Houdini is still one of the places. It's.
Josh, what you working on recently?
Honestly, I think our next plan of attack is to just rebrand our course. Well, not rebrand, but remaster, I suppose. Today I'm going to start the Hard Ops course we just released. I don't know I know Curtis uses it, but there is just a really big update. Cloth simulations, arrays, all sorts of stuff. So I'm going to upgrade that and really just get everything ready for Black Friday. I don't know if you guys are doing any sort of Black Friday sales.
Yeah, Blender Market.
What if I sold anything?
What's that? Oh.
What if I sold anything?
If you had products.
Yeah.
You have a
Let's just go to Blender Binge. He gives everything away for free.
Have like
I've gotten way less of those comments, and I'm quite pleased. Most people are happy to support me now, so
that's great, man.
There's a few that are like, but most people are like, oh yeah, happy to support you. Plus, we just released another handbook for free.
Oh yeah,
and people,
that
was a good one. It was short, like 2 hours. I mean, it wasn't anything crazy, but people are still generous, leave tips, and appreciate it. You got to find that balance of free and paid stuff, I think.
Yeah, I have a question about that, actually, because I like writing. I do a lot of writing, even when it's just like scripts or messages or emails or whatever.
It was a series of videos, just FYI.
Well, what I was gonna ask, is there a market for like article type tutorials, even if they're paid ones? Because I know some people do this, and like, what's the name? Is it Jan van der Hemel, who's got like the tips book and stuff?
Yeah.
Like, is there a
PDF.
good market for that kind of content as well? I wonder.
There are, I mean,
I don't-
he has a lot of downloads.
Chip Walters said something to us. He said, sorry about the noise. He said Jerry and him both thought it was like a PDF, so they got confused. But we were like, it's a 2020 handbook. I don't know how many people read nowadays. I prefer watching videos for everything. If I can avoid reading, I'll do that. But I mean, I feel like if you hit the right audience, like Daniel did it best with his I don't know what his release was. It was a massive list, like 200 pages of Blender tips, and he did well with that. So I really don't know.
The good thing about any written content is it's searchable. And YouTube's getting Google, is getting better at looking at the closed captions of videos and applying them. I've noticed a couple of searches I've done actually come up with that part in the video. So that's really eroding. And my experience with written content is it acts as great funnel content.
Yeah.
So it's great to have on your site, for instance, for Google Juice, essentially. So when
I like that term.
They come in. And I think it's a great value add. You know, buy this thing, get my free 100 pages, million tips for Blender, and things like that. It's a great thing to tack on. I'm not so sure that these days it is the thing. And of course, if it's a digital thing that's constantly being updated, you can do that in the background. You know, you can update how to extrude, and then you add the new manifold extrude to the same thing. So then your document automatically updates when people download.
Yeah.
Then you can keep that up to date. But that's the problem with content and recorded content. With the iterations that Blender's going through at the moment, all it takes. I remember when I was first 2.8, I started refreshing my big Blender course with it, and along comes a complete UI change, even though that wasn't on the cards. You're not supposed to be changing the UI, and you did.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Oh, it was remove doubles. That was the bane of my existence for ages. That they changed it to merge by distance or whatever they changed it to.
Yep.
Now I say remove doubles like 300 times through the course.
Yeah,
we're all used to it.
Yeah, it's part of it though. You just got to refresh things as and when you need to refresh things.
Yep.
I think with written stuff, the initial investment of time is like the big one, because you can update iteratively, like you're saying. But like I get requested every, I don't know, it happens at least once a week. People are like, I want shaders. Like where's the step by step? Where's the written information? I'm like, I make videos. I don't write. So it's like there is an audience there, and people definitely want it. So
it's strange because that information is available. That information is available on the Blender manual. It's available in OSL code. It's all there, but it's how people want to consume that. They I suppose they're really asking for a recipe book. They know what they want to do. They want to pick up a cookbook and just go, I need to do this, 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 and this. Yep. And a cookbook's far easier than watching a video, rewinding and coming back again, because you can just stare at the sentence for 5 minutes and hopefully your brain.
It's tricky though, because I've started writing essentially a cookbook, and it's nodes are very difficult things to write into like prose. You know, like either I'm writing a list of like, okay, add this node, then add this node, then add this node. But then obviously if you're in a node tree, it's non-linear, so you have to also be branching off at different points. And then it's like, well, okay, so I'm just going to give you a picture now. And then it's like, well, it would really help if I could just show you with a video.
Yeah.
So
I was like, I started something like a visual math tutorial for Blender. Then I figured out it's better if I make one video about it. It'll just take 10 minutes or like 10 minutes long, instead of me spending like ages to do it. Like it's going to take a long time though. I have to script it. I have to like get good examples and then put everything. I don't think so. So it's better if I just make one video and put the whole information into that. That would be more helpful for the community, right? Like than just looking at it. And also, nothing. I just forgot about that. I
I was gonna add what you were saying, Erin, about nodes, how it's difficult to kind of write down what people should do with them if you're trying to explain something. I remember writing scripts trying to like think about how I would say it out loud, and there are so many words, like repeating words just to say something very simple, like, you know, connect the color output of the color ramp node to the base color input of the principal BSDF shading. Like, this is so many words just to go drag like that. You're like, oh god.
Yes.
Yes.
So much easier to do in video form.
Yeah.
I remember writing. I made a Python script to build a pyramid out, like a Mayan pyramid, out of just cubes. And it was quite an arduous process, and I'm sure there's quicker ways of doing it. But when I decided to really scope creep it and go, well, not only am I going to build it, I'm going to also apply these modifiers. Cool. That took me ages to work that out. And then I got to the materials. I'm like, I'm just going to automatically color in the ground green and the pyramid like a grey color. Don't care. I won't put textures on or anything. And then I was like, oh my word, the code for this is horrible. You literally have to tell the node here, the socket of the node. I was like, this is, yeah, you're quite right. Click, drag.
Yeah.
And some nodes have hidden. Some nodes have hidden sockets though. So like some nodes, if you look at the node, they'll have like 3 sockets. But then if you actually do like the node wrangler shift alt connect, it will show you 5 options. Like the Voronoi node has additional options that are hidden. Yeah, and if you start doing those with Python, then you're going to be like, well, if I look at the node, it looks like it's got 4 outputs. But then when in the Python, it's like, actually, I need index number 5.
Yeah.
It's basically like, you know, in vector math nodes, some functions has only 2 inputs and some has 3 inputs. In the same way with math nodes, it has 2 inputs and sometimes 3 inputs. So the third input, depending upon the function which we're using, it's hidden. So yeah, it's always there. Sometimes what happens is I might connect the output to the third one, like the third socket, and change the function to something else. And you can't see the connection, but it's still there. So when you come back, you can still see the connection.
It's actually really bad because sometimes you can say if you accidentally drop something on a noodle in front of the node that you want it to be on, and then you change the function so it hides the connection, which because it's got rid of that socket. But then you go and plug it in before the node, which is where you actually wanted it. Then you'll start getting the red noodle because it thinks that you've put in a feedback, even though it's not actually properly connected.
Yeah, obfuscating it from the user is a real pain in the backside by the sounds of it.
It's just, I mean, it's just that's because, like as I said, in vector math and math nodes, you don't need a third socket if you have like add. I mean, you can add 3 adds, like combine all 3, it's fine. But the third one will always be 0. It's like visually, it's not appealing, like, you know, design factors.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Like I asked this one to who's like Simon Thomas, like why does a gradient node has a color output? He was just like, it's just UI preference. Like every texture, like inbuilt texture will have a color output and then a fact output. But gradient node doesn't really need a color output, right? I was asking Erin about it. Erin was like, I don't know. Yeah.
Anyway, I want to share with you a comment I got that I quite liked. It's a hate comment. I haven't had one in ages. So
happy.
But I was kind of disappointed because it's kind of confusing. So there's a bit of a backstory. A while ago, I think it was with the City Scatter tool, because I give a free version of that away as well as a complete one. And I got an email through from someone that was like, you want to be everything in like capitals. And they were like, oh, the free version, it's terrible. Just do one or the other. And I got an almost identical comment come through 2 days ago on the ambient grunge node. Now I've put a free one out and I'm thinking it sounds almost identical to the email. Like, did they copy paste it? Have they been waiting to send this? They said, lol, you want to be everything, a good guy and a businessman. Are those two like mutually exclusive? I don't understand. Like a good guy and a businessman? I don't understand.
For me, yeah. So
like, you want to be evil you want to be a good guy and a businessman. The free version, the free version is a shit. Opens bracket. Don't give up useless stuff. Keep the paid version, and that's it. And then forgets to close bracket. So
just buy the paid version, man.
Yeah,
that's like saying a game demo. It only gave me 15 minutes of entertainment. Don't release. Well,
Like the bit I don't understand about this is, first of all,
Broken logic.
it's the same message that I got months ago. What is like, is someone actually, were they waiting to send that again? Did they go back to look at their sent emails, copy it, and then come back and then paste that in? And also, you want to be a good guy and a businessman. That sentence doesn't make sense to me. Can't you be both? Does someone have to make a choice?
I know plenty of very charitable businessmen, so
Yeah,
I don't know what he's on about.
I don't understand.
it's a myth that's perpetuated. You know, money is not. If you've got money, it doesn't mean you're evil. It could mean you're evil, but you could also not have money and also be evil.
He just wants us to. He just wants all of us to give everything away for free, so he can get it all for free.
Yeah, it's like,
and anybody who charges for anything is evil.
Yeah, the thing is,
it's a classic straw man argument.
Yeah,
if you're not giving it away for free, you must be evil.
But this guy's not even saying just give it free. He's saying just keep the paid version, and I'm like,
just keep the paid version. So that doesn't mean anything.
But I'm like, well,
just give up on being a good person then.
Yeah,
that's what he's saying.
It doesn't take that much effort to add a free version. Why are you like, people enjoy the free version? Why would I remove the free version and just keep the paid version? It just doesn't make any sense.
He's enhancing the businessman in you.
But that doesn't even make business sense, because people use the free version and then want to get the paid. So, I don't know. I'm overthinking it. This guy's just got some problem that I can't even comprehend.
Just worth the time.
So your head.
Yeah, look at that.
I want to understand. Like, I want to understand people. I love psychology. I want to figure it out, but it just doesn't make any sense from any angle whatsoever.
I just have pity. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I can do nowadays. Just pitiful comments. It's just like, wow, we have someone among us that is like needs that much pity for them. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. So on your licensing, Curtis, do you say if you've got the free version, you can still do whatever you like with it? So if you wanted to add in functionality on top of it, or perhaps the paid for version, it kind of doesn't do what I want it to do, so I'll get the free version and extend it. So if you've got a licensing that allows that, then that's just the best of both worlds.
Yeah, well,
that's why you'd ever not have it.
Yeah, the thing about the tools is, like, the generation ones are all GPL license anyway, so you do what you want. Like, the main reason why you'd buy the paid ones is because it's got artwork that I've made, pre-made, and I've also added a little extra bits to the scripts that give you more settings that you can change to give you more variety. But you can do whatever you want with the script. Like, so there's literally there's no downside to having the free version available. More people get to play with it, you know?
Yeah.
I was about to ask Erin, like, how long do you spend on noding every single day for your Nodevember?
For Nodevember? Somewhere between 4 and 10 hours.
Oh my god.
Wow.
It's a big range.
Which was the fastest one? Which was the fastest one?
Like it.
Was it the other day I messaged you and I was up late doing stuff anyway, and I wasn't sure whether you were still up doing node stuff or I had just woken up nice and early.
It's like I woke up and I was up. I woke up and he was still doing. I was like, "What? Just go sleep." And he didn't reply again because I'm just distracting him.
But since the start of November, I've been doing I'm up until 5 a.m. every day.
Wow.
And I'm not enjoying it. I want to have a day off. But then it was I stopped doing the Nodevember stuff for a couple of days, but then just so that I could make tutorials. So that wasn't any better. So
because editing comes over there. I am slow because I have to think. I'm still a beginner in this one, how to generate more shapes and stuff. So I'll sit for a while, 10 minutes. I'll just look at the screen, look around, what should I do next? And slowly, it'll take about 6 to 7 hours of my time in a day, only doing one prompt. Minimum 6 hours for sure, maximum 12 hours. The print one took me a long time because I didn't know how to actually make the body properly. So
the camera?
I took as much as camera one. Then I used the SDF technique, converting SDF to vector displacement. Before that, that's when I started saying beauty, how can you divert from the same stuff what you're doing. All I wanted to do in this Nodevember was get better at vector displacement. At one point I think I do understand how vector displacement works, so I thought let me make everything with vector displacement, but that's not what it is. You can try out ray matching, you can try out environment shaders, look at what it's doing. So yeah, there's so many things which you could do, but I just started restricting myself to vector displacement, and no, it didn't work out at that time. And in my streams, I started showing like all my failures, like how did I start, like where did I end up, and why it didn't work, and then why I'm coming back from the start. So it's all over there, like it's all around over there. So it was nice.
That's
It's
really
just to
valuable.
show me, like,
That's really valuable.
yeah. That's because when I come back to the videos, I just want to see like, okay, is this how I started off? No, I did this mistake and then I went there.
Yeah.
It's just like a diary. I just want to keep it like a diary. But then recently the YouTube started glitching, right? I mean, videos, live streams were not working properly for a few days. And
Yeah.
my stream, what happened was, it was fine until like I was streaming. Gabe was watching it, and it was like everything was smooth. But I don't know, while encoding or something, like while processing, for every 2 minutes I got only one frame, like visible on the screen in the video while I was replaying. So and then I stopped streaming for 2 days until YouTube said like, okay, everything is fixed, and then I started streaming again, and my exams came up, so I had to stop now.
Oh yeah.
God. And still I'm spending 6 hours noding,
Wow.
I'm
shouldn't
kind of
be
glad
doing
that
that.
you just said like, oh, I spend 4, 6, 10 hours a day. I'm like, I chose well not to do it during this busy time I've got. Otherwise, I'd have like minus 8 hours sleep a day.
Yeah, if I did that, my kids would set fire to the house.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you're in the same boat. Yeah,
Daddy.
I know.
This is as much time as I spend on YouTube every day.
Wow.
What?
A lot.
I think actually though, the fact that we're spending this long is really like Kurt's video today about, do you feel insecure about your art? It's like, yeah, this is why I spend this long, because like I'm sprinting to keep up with the people who are kind of at the similar-ish level to me. And there are so many people who are like, they're so far ahead as well. And it's like, you can't let up, like, just because of social media, the way that social media is. You're putting stuff out every day. You need to be putting out stuff that's at your peak every day, and suddenly you're forced to do it every like 24 hours, and it's got to be your best work every time.
Yep.
Yeah. Imagine Erin saying that he has insecurity. Then what about me? Oh my God. I was talking to Curtis about this, like, yeah, I am feeling very insecure about so many things, and then the video really helped me out a bit.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was funny.
you prefix it, don't you? If you're going to release something and you know it's not your peak, you say, "Oh, I only had a few hours to work on this," or "Oh, I decided to do something simple today," and it's
that's literally half the stuff I put out. I'm just like, yeah, I had a few hours. This is what I came up with.
Yeah, I would personally just not preface it. Judge my artwork on its artwork, not how it got there and how long it took me.
I know.
This is something I think about when I see people say that this is my whatever artwork that I've done in Blender. I'm 14, and it's like, this is a good piece of artwork.
Yeah,
you didn't need to say your age. Like, let us judge it as the piece of work and give you feedback. We're not going to like sugarcoat it because you're younger.
Like a first try in this part.
This is my first Blender render. It's like, no, it's not. Unless you've never used Blender before and you've just used it as a render engine. No, it's not.
Unless your first render is the default cube, I don't believe you.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
because when you're learning and you press the button just to see if it works, that's your first render. All right, so so don't lie.
That's your first render. My first render was a pyramid or a cube or something in Pavre, which is a command line renderer. That was it.
I did that too, but then for vector displacement, like, okay, my first try in vector displacement, because it was like a memory for me. So, but not like this is my first render in Blender.
I think my first render in Blender was something along the other than the default cube. Was like, if you imagine just extruding the default cube, so it's I don't know, a rectanguloid or whatever, and then making a four-sided pyramid for a nose, and then just doing the same with the wings, and I made a little like plane, and it was so noddy at the time, and I was just like, this is amazing.
I have one of my first ever renders, with me. It's in
Did you
3D
print it?
Studio Max. Oh yeah, it's just a random abstract thing with silver and gold spheres. These are some of the template
Nice.
materials from 2004. I don't know why I printed it up, but this is the only surviving piece of artwork I have from that time.
Better than
Oh,
mine.
nice.
2004.
I was still in New Jersey.
There's
Yeah.
the gaps in
I've
between the
seen-
sphere rows are even inconsistent in places. That's how like
Yeah.
lazy it was.
Is there anything down there? Or is it just like a void?
Just a void, just the infinite darkness.
I feel bad I didn't keep anything from back in those days.
Yeah, well, I didn't
Yeah.
really. I missed all my files. That's the only thing I have in here.
Yeah.
The best part about my thing was because I started like a year and a half ago, so I have every single blend file I made so far, like
Wow.
every single, even the first one, the first render and everything. It was so nice. Except I don't have the textures because I didn't pack it.
Oh,
No, no.
Yeah.
it's just like a purple mess.
Yes, yes. It's fine. Like I didn't use much of image textures anyway, so it's all about like I'll model, I'll just leave it over there. I didn't want to complete the render again. It's just like procrastination.
Oh yeah, thank you for sharing the video again, Erin. By the way, from today, because
Yeah.
I love doing the
Excellent feature.
discussion. Yeah, that's all right. I love the discussion ones because they give so much more of an emotional feeling, and they feel like they have more
Yes.
purpose. But oh god,
Yes.
they don't do well for the audience or my
Yeah.
audience on YouTube.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
That's
I'm
because,
I'm persistent.
I was talking about this a while ago with Curtis, but most of the time, when the channel was in the very beginning stage or something, everyone gets like a very good views or something. But then I understood like, yes, that's because they were beginners back then, but now they are not. So they might start doing this stuff on their own so that they don't need tutorials anymore. So I just feel it. Like, is that true?
One of my, because I recorded 4 discussion videos in one day. 2 of them are up now, the 10,000 hour one and the insecurity one. But there's 2 more, which is the influence of luck on success and the benefits of having a portfolio. And the luck one should be interesting. And I hope it doesn't come off as me slating other YouTubers. But there is a bit. There is a bit in the video where I talk about the mentality of deserving views. So where YouTubers make content, and as you say early on, they suddenly get a bunch of views, and then they make the similar type of content, and then they get fewer views, and then they feel upset because they feel like they deserve more because luck factors had given them the higher views in the first place.
Yeah.
But deserving is a very dangerous thing because they feel like it's because of their skill that they got given that in the first place, which is not true at all. Like, you don't deserve any of it. So, but I didn't say that in a mean way, but yeah, I'm aware of it, but I feel it. Like, as a YouTuber, I feel it. I understand that, but yeah, I don't know. It's fascinating. I like airing ideas like that. It's almost, I don't really know how to say it, but you know, when you're part of a system and you're just following the same routine every day, you kind of feel like a slave. And it's almost like a little, it's like a rebellious act, and it gives me some satisfaction, I think, just to do things that don't follow the rules every now and again, just to like punch through it and say, I'm still here, like I'm still thinking for myself. I'm not a drone. I'm not like a slave to this numbers game. So yeah,
that's a numbers game. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But you're on a Malcolm Gladwell kick. Have you read Malcolm Gladwell?
No, I haven't.
Because the 10,000 hours and the luck thing are both things.
Oh yeah. I didn't. I haven't read the original books.
Yeah, because Outliers and
Outliers is the one where the rule was defined, if I remember.
It's the luck. Yeah, the luck thing. And then the 10,000 hours. I don't know if they were the same book. Outliers was the one without luck, where he details Bill Gates and a number of other people who just became billionaires, and it's just it's having enough knowledge to know when luck hits, to be able to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And luck does play a part. It plays a huge part. But I actually saw him speak. I was in the same room with him, and the guy's brilliant. But it's these last few videos have definitely all like, has he been reading Malcolm?
I haven't actually. It's just ideas I've just been floating around.
Tipping point. I think was the 10,000 hours.
Yeah,
thing.
I should read it.
it was just a tweet, right?
Yeah, there was a tweet. So
It was a tweet.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bartek, can't pronounce his last name properly. I'm sorry, Bartek. Was responding to a tweet by a guy who's a teacher in the 3D field. I forgot his name, Feng something maybe, I can't remember, but he had this guy had produced a like a chart showing people how long they should be working every day if they want to reach like a junior or expert level, and it was like super unrealistic, and because it didn't take anything into account, then people were going, you shouldn't be telling your like students you should be working 12 hours a day, like if they want to get like a junior, like practicing stuff 12 hours every single day if they want to get like a junior job. And like arguments began, and they were like, you got to be realistic, you got to take into consideration the human factors. People need breaks, they need to be inspired. You can't just grind out time. That's not an effective way of learning or becoming an expert in anything. You
need to practice the right thing.
So I
can sit down and model a default cube day in, day out, and I've got a cube.
You got a cube, and that's all you can do is a cube, but you're really good at that cube.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean you're gonna get hired.
That cube.
I had a lot of thoughts about it, but the problem is, if you have if you're passionate and you have a response to something like that, I'm very cautious about sharing it, because though I have very strong opinions about things, I don't share a lot of them on YouTube or whatever. And I've actually written a really long, like 3,000 or 4,000 word blog post about this that I haven't even published, about like sharing views online. But so I made a very condensed thing in response to the tweet, which was basically saying, look, if you have keyed into your interests, and if you have the right kinds of personal projects, and you're doing it for the right personal reasons, I think people can learn more in a week than someone will in a year, just from grinding out time without the right projects, without the right interest whatsoever. Because I've seen it. We've seen brilliant people just like that learn things that people take years to learn, just like that, just done. So that's
these people.
That's the point I was making. I wanted to do the 10,000 hour video like 2 months ago, but that fear of the whole growth thing disappearing is what prevented me from doing discussion videos again. So now I'm back to it.
I think discussion videos are the ones that I like most. I'm not a big consumer of YouTube, which I don't know if I should admit, but I only really watch your discussion videos, and then I basically just watch anything where people are talking. I much prefer like people videos rather than like if I need to learn something, I'll go and watch a video on it. But like in terms of content, which I like enjoy consuming just to like have some downtime or whatever, I will watch something of somebody just having a chat. So videos like your discussion ones, I think they're like,
thank you.
In my opinion, I think they're your best.
They're great.
I've heard that
they're the ones with the most value.
Yeah, I've heard that from Devanshu as well. He said that his favorites, which is nice to hear, because that does reaffirm and gives you more confidence. But I think the biggest compliment is that, on our server, one of my moderators is Feline Entity, who I've done a collaboration with. He doesn't watch any of my videos, but he's been watching the discussion ones. And I'm like, that's the biggest compliment, because he's so like steadfast in his interest. He won't pretend to like something if he doesn't. But he liked it, so I was happy.
He's the only person who hates dogs in the server as well. Not hates, but prefers cats more. And we all had this fight over there.
He doesn't like suck up or anything. He's not he's not always trying to be nice. He's very realistic. So
I like that. You kind of know where you stand with people like that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I appreciate
one of the great things about those discussion videos is I don't need to look at you. I can just minimize the screen and just listen to it, and I can carry on with the thing that I'm doing without having to engage. And that's one of the best things. You should look at podcasting them as well, so that people can just download them and listen to them.
I'll think about it.
That's what's great about BlenderNest.
Yeah, exactly.
You should subscribe.
Subscribe now.
Thank you. Arturo is not here today, so I'm glad you you did it instead. But the other great thing about doing discussion videos is if you record your face, you've got no editing to do other than trimming it down. Sure. Like you don't need to add any B-roll. I was thinking about doing video essays, and I thought, I'm gonna have to edit stuff over the back of that. So if I just record my face, I've got nothing to do. Just
also there's one video, I don't remember which one, but Curtis was literally being normal, not robotic at all.
The hobby or a job one.
Yes, exactly. You
That's because I was standing up,
going around. I was like, what?
Yeah, that was expressive, and I would do more like that. But the thing is, I can't be bothered to. I have to raise the desk. It's a electronic desk, but all the wires, like I have to be careful and like untangle them, do all this stuff, and it's just annoying. And I've got it in the perfect height right now, and then you have to find the perfect height again once you're done. And oh, these first world problems.
First world problems.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Everyone's dying of corona. There's like political crises going on, and I can't get the height of my desk right.
That could be a very good server emoji. I really want that picture, Curtis. Send it to me if you're gonna trim this off.
Yeah,
it's so awesome.
So yeah,
yes,
we've been going for 1 hour 48, so we've got enough.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
We got
a lot of content in this one.
Oh yeah,
that's for sure.
So
my first render that I ever did, like proper output render, and this is like 20 times better than that, would have been something akin to this.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I would be really
It's recognizable.
Yeah.
That was genuinely the sort of thing, and it probably took me 20 or so minutes to do that, and it took me 20 seconds now, and it's far better than.
Hey, it works though.
It works.
You need some bevels on that guy though. I'm so meticulous with those with bevels on objects.
Yeah.
I have to have them.
Sorry, Josh, that's my vanilla version. I don't have control on that. The teaching version.
Hey, better than my first one. It was awful, that's for sure.
I remember making a spaceship in 3D Studio Max back in like 2004 or 5 and whatever. I was in primary school because I remember showing it to specific friends, but it ended up looking more like a Ford Transit van than a spaceship, because it was just like it was just made out of cubes, but like squash. So there was like a flat front bit and then like a back and flat. But because you don't have any idea of like shape transition theory, you don't know what else to do, so you just end up with a block. You're like spaceship. There you go. Done.
Baseball Winnebago.
Did you say like did you say primary school?
Yeah, primary school.
Means like below 5th grade.
So how old would I have been? So
between 6 and 10.
Yeah.
10, yeah. You started pretty that young? Wow.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I remember.
Wow.
My dad got hold of 3D Studio. He works in the industry, and I remember I was playing Destroy All Humans around the time, and then I loved that game, PlayStation 2. And my dad was trying to explain what this 3D stuff could do, because he had other friends as well that were more into it, and saying like, "What, they make games with that? We'll be able to make games with it." It's like, yeah, give it a try. So spent lots of time playing around with that, and Dark Basic, which is this old game making language.
Dark Basic. Wow.
Yeah, do you remember Dark Basic?
Yes, I remember Dark Basic. Yes, I do.
I remember playing with that, and it was this weird program where you would code and make games, but it had this strange interface that was like kind of
really weird,
stylish. Yeah,
it's dark magic.
Fun times. But the people that made that had all these other suites of like game making tools, which me and my brother used to play with. There was like this 3D game maker toolkit thing, and we would spend ages playing with that. So that's when I started.
Came around similar around the same time, called Torque, and that was
yes,
really good.
Torque 3D. Yeah,
Torque was really good.
Yeah, I got some books about that. I played with that. That's where my 3D journey started. Then 3D Studio Max 7. I don't know if that was the version, but 2004. In the middle of that and Dark Basic, that's where my journey started.
Wow.
So, I was really fighting for chocolates back then.
I started my current my current gig in 2006, 2 years after that. Wow.
Ooh. Nice.
Yeah, it's been my longest running gig ever.
Damn.
Nice.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats.
At least you stuck with it.
You want to talk about the slave mentality?
I tell you what,
wake up every day.
When I do my discussion videos now, I record several in a row. It's just so much more efficient. If there's anything you want me to talk about, if there's any ideas that you have that you want to get out there, throw them at me, because
nice.
I'm gonna do more.
Yeah.
We went on paid versus free content, so people actually understand the point of paid content.
Yeah.
Then we all
write it down.
It would not exist if it wasn't paid.
Yep.
Yeah, using other assets as well.
Okay, using
like why it's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Like, just think about architecture. Imagine if you couldn't use set dressing assets, and it's just like every room would be empty.
Yeah.
It would just
Yeah.
be stupid.
On the outside of
exactly.
Imagine that.
Scene fillers, basically, right?
figuring out how much of this of the audience for Blender wants to work in a studio versus do their own stuff versus it's just a hobby.
Yeah. Oh, Blender is an industry standard. It's like not everyone's trying to go in the industry. Chill.
Yeah.
It's more like Blender fanboying. Like a video should be there like Blender fanboying, like only Blender. You have to
both sides have that mindset. It's so dumb. It's like use what you want.
Exactly.
Who cares?
You must do a hell of a lot, Josh, with obviously using hard ops, which is cheap. Dirt cheap anyway.
It's so cheap compared to other software.
Oh yeah, it's like $20 or something. It's super cheap.
For what 37 for the bundle, which is
37 for a bundle. That's insane.
And you get permanent free updates. Jerry never tries to upsell ever. I've never seen him try to do that.
Jerry's great. It's so nice.
It revolutionizes your workflow, and it's easy to use. So, I mean, I don't have a need to go to Maya or 3D Studio.
No, for hard surface, Blender and those two plugins are Hard Ops and Box Cutter.
It's all together on a new software.
Yeah, like if you're not building stuff, I mean, it's somewhat procedural workflow too if you keep it in Blender, but it doesn't matter. Like if you want an asset, you model an asset and it's done.
Okay, you should do a discussion on the value of proceduralism, because I think a lot of people don't really get it. I think they just think it's just like another workflow that's just like another way to reach a specific end point, when actually it's about variability.
It is.
I think No Man's Sky did a disservice to procedural generation. When it came out, it sort of popularized the idea around it, and it produced a ton of crap, unfortunately.
I believe it or not, I have actually planned on doing a video essay about just that, because I hate the mentality that proceduralism is repetitive by nature, especially in video game context. I'm like, it's not about that. It's the artistic limitation which produces that. If you have a smart enough algorithm, you can subvert repetition.
And using it as a design aid, like I've done, like in a shopping mall, you'll get like the kiosks in the center of like the walk areas, and they'll try and sell you internet or sell you a car or something, and just like kiosk designs. And I've designed kiosks, and it's like I've designed them in two ways. I've designed them manually, where you get a kit of parts and they say, give me 20 layouts, and we'll like work with one of them and develop them based on like different plot sizes, and it might be like a 5 meter by 2 meter or a 7 meter by 4 meter, and it's just like arrange them, and you've got building blocks, and you have to go in manually position them. And then I did that, and I did that for like a week with a design studio, and that was fine, but absolutely not the kind of work that a person should be doing, because it's at an early stage like that, when it's not about your artistic or your creative direction. It's just about like how many different arrangements of these cabinets can we fit in this space to achieve different things. And like the second time I did it, I wrote an algorithm that did it. I used Sverchok, and I basically just had it automatically generate hundreds of different kiosk layouts. And then I went in as a designer and used my head as a designer to be like, this one works. And I can use these and I can go off them. And it's all novel ideas. And like some of them you might have come to, but also some of them you wouldn't have necessarily reached at 200 iterations. So
also, being a perfectionist and time constraints.
Oh boy. That'll be a big one.
It's like,
you could do several videos.
We had a discussion in
the first one you never felt was right.
Never released
like that's because we had a discussion in Indian server. Like people like I can still add cracks here. I can still add imperfections here. Like it's fine. Just stop. It's really far from the screen. I can't even see anything on top of that. And it's dim lighting.
I have.
So
I don't know where I've said it before, whether or not it's on this podcast, but I have said that perfectionism can often manifest itself as like a representation of fear for completing or fear for sharing the work. It's because if you don't want to share your work, it's the easiest excuse. Like, I can just change this instead. I can just do that instead. In reality, you're done. You just don't want to share it. So
exactly.
I can't remember who said it, but perfectionism versus self-care. And it's like, those are the things that you're weighing up against each other. It's like there's convenience versus freedom is one. So like, how much convenience do you wish to exchange for freedom, which commonly gets used for like money. How much would you like spend your money, your freedom, for the convenience of having something? But then like on the flip side of that, you've got like, as an artist, how much perfectionism are you going to strive for, and in doing so spend your self-care?
Yeah, that's true.
Good topics.
So,
Great
how
topic.
many topics did you get so far?
5.
Like
from
5 in the list.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you'll do each one of those better than I would. Go for it.
Mhm.
I have a small list of ones I'm gonna do at some point, and I just haven't gotten around to them. But they're just like more like industry insight stuff. That's just like whatever.
yeah.
I need to get more.
I don't even know if like I'll get 1,000 views tops.
Charon's really pushing me on this, and I do need to do it. But I need to get more faces for my thumbnails.
Yes.
Thing is, like, and don't at me, anyone, but taking pictures of your face for thumbnails is borderline narcissism.
Probably awkward as well.
Yeah, it is. Like,
Yeah, I've never done it.
The problem is there's so many good pictures of Curtis which you can use as thumbnails.
No,
Yeah.
All you have to just use is like
I might do the one where I peek.
That one there.
That one.
yeah.
Yeah,
Where I'm like,
Yeah, that's exactly what.
perfect. That one. Exactly.
use those. I'll come in from the side of the thumbnail,
Yeah.
just like clawing through. I'll do
Yeah.
that.
That's
Something fun.
Well, it's kind of
Just
like
do
what
it from
you were saying earlier about the topics of your videos and what you're doing. The thumbnail's the first thing someone sees. So if you've got a beautiful face like Curtis, it should be there.
Yeah. All right. Yes, I like Markham's though. I like how it matches his personality.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah,
The variability. It's just like
That's true.
That's him.
that is him.
Yeah, that is him.
But I don't like the ones from the other types of communities on YouTube where they're the kind of people that start at 500% volume at the beginning of their videos. You know who I'm talking about, those kind of people. But so the faces are like really overdone, and there's like arrows pointing everywhere. There's like there's like a colored border around them on the thumbnail, and
I think
That's
I've got
too
a couple like that. So I know exactly who you're talking about.
That'll be like my first face
nice.
review on my own channel.
Yeah.
Maybe when I do the mythical rebrand that I've been floating forever, that I haven't figured out yet.
It's a question of
For
like
my,
how far do you want to go with clickbait? Sorry, carry on.
I know
Yeah.
exactly.
All the way.
All I'm trying, like, I'm not using my faces, but then I'm using my sprite everywhere, literally. Like, I'm just putting in my thumbnail, and I should start using my face sometime soon. Like maybe after my college, I'll go for nice, haircuts.
Yeah.
Oh, my mom did the hair, by the way.
Nice.
It's not that
Looks
bad.
neat. Yeah, it looks neat.
It's actually pretty decent.
I got my COVID hair is still going. Look at this.
Hey, check that out.
I still have a full head of hair.
There you go. Erin beats everyone.
But man, I was all like proud because I got a haircut right before COVID hit. But now I haven't had one. I'm gonna cut my own hair.
Erin sent one picture of him, like showing the length of his hair, and people made "dame dame" that video out of him.
Oh, dame
It was so funny.
The meme.
Dame though.
I've been letting my
such a good meme.
fringe get longer. I prefer having it rather than having it short.
That bothers me too much.
Comb it all forward and just.
Oh yeah, that'll be
exactly.
the
That's a thumbnail.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I pie like curtains. Anyway. So yeah, what was I going to say?
Nice.
Oh yeah, just briefly, because to be educational, the psychology of thumbnails. So having the same face in the thumbnail, I think, can be a good and a bad thing, because everything is about association, right? With not just human nature, but even animal nature, whatever. So if people like your discussion videos and they've seen my current face, then when they see it again, they'll go, okay, I like that, I'll click on it. But if there's a discussion video that they haven't liked, then they'll associate the face with that as well, so then they won't click on the next one. So it's like it's either a good or a bad thing depending on the content. But if you mix up the face, then they can't have that association of that specific thing if it's different every time.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have AI make up a face.
Yeah.
That's
so, thankfully I am
It's
an
how
AI.
I always avoid Linus Tech Tips videos.
I love the honesty.
Mm,
Brilliant.
true.
The other thing, of course, is if someone's looking at your videos and they all look the same,
Yeah.
because you've got your face on one side and then whatever the words are, you end up in a position where someone cannot identify which video is what because it's all
Yeah.
the
Yep.
Yeah. That's true.
same. So you kind of want a style that's homogenous so people know it's you, yet not homogenous so they can distinguish between the individual videos.
Yep.
This has been my thumbnail.
No.
Perfect.
It's just
You
Let's
won't
mix it up.
believe how unimpressed I was.
just
Arrow pointing to your frown.
Exactly.
okay. Just
Curtis sent me this nice little screenshot from one of my videos saying, what was that, Curtis? I forgot the meme that you
I applied for a job and they said, "What?" It was that, and I said his face
Yeah,
like
exactly.
looking confused. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like so confused. I was saying, what am I?
Yep.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think Blender Guru
That's
has
cool.
it best. It's like slightly different angles for each
Yeah.
video.
Mm.
That's pretty much it.
Changes it a
Yeah.
bit.
Oh,
CG Geek
And
does
for the
a whole lot of the
podcast,
crazy stuff.
he's using, for the podcast, he's using the nice little yellow border,
yeah.
just
Oh,
like
yeah.
BlenderNest.
Yep.
Mm.
Maybe
Yeah,
he's watching us.
We did the yellow
Maybe he
talking
is.
first.
Maybe he
Andrew.
should come on.
Yes.
Yeah, Andrew, if
Yeah.
you are watching, send us a message.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he went on Flip Normal's podcast and a few others. I don't expect him to come every week, but it'd be cool if he could hop on like one podcast.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's
I-
super busy with polygons. So
I don't think
Yeah.
he won't come at the times that we record this because he's a family
Oh,
man as
yeah.
well. So
yeah, in Australia. So
yeah, it'd have to
It's
be
like
yeah.
5 a.m. for him at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have to be a
reschedule
one-off.
for a day if he could get on.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem.
Same with Ian Hubert, really. We need to ask him.
Yeah,
one day.
Ian'd be great to get on here too.
Yeah.
Just
Hmm.
need to start pushing.
If we did that, we
Ian
need
is
to
actually,
actually come up with a structure for questions and stuff.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Ian is actually following the whole Nodevember thing. Like, I can see his comments here and there. And
Yeah.
even Daniel Bystad.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Oh,
nice.
yes. The pros.
Yeah, the pros.
Yeah.
The pros.
You just feel like so accomplished when you get like retweeted by them as well.
Yeah.
I always try and
Yeah.
stay away from hero worship, but then sometimes someone retweets you and you're like,
That's
oh,
my initial boost.
Yes.
'Cause I was in his newsletter, and overnight I jumped like, I don't know,
Hmm.
like a couple thousand subs or something. I don't know. Well,
Yeah.
maybe for
Yeah.
that week, but
I felt good when I put the picture of me with the comfort box on Twitter and Ton Rosendale liked it. That was like my first my first tweet that he liked. I was like, I know it's small, but it's nice. Also, he's doing well now.
Is it the one that,
He got the all
Yeah, he's
clear, by
doing
the
well.
way, from his leukemia.
That's so good.
Yeah.
nice.
yeah, I didn't realize
Okay.
he got cancer till that broadcast.
No, nobody did.
Silent about it,
Mm.
Yep.
but he's good now, which
It's
is
good.
they gave him a time span to, to live, and he
Yeah, it's like a
would
few
end up
weeks or
fine,
something.
right?
Yeah. He got a really dangerous case of it. I think it was like a few weeks. Didn't he say something about like he started getting all these blotches and bleeding in his mouth and
Blood in
stuff?
his mouth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it all gone in like less than a year. That's
Yeah.
unheard of.
Hmm.
I know.
He's strong.
He's done well.
He rolled a d20. Good man.
Yeah. Yes.
Probably gives him a better perspective, appreciates the little things, I would assume.
Hmm.
That's
yeah.
a big scare.
Yeah.
That's a huge scare.